was worried that if I buy him vitamin C and give it to him, like I know vitamin C is good for you when you're sick, but if I give it to him, I'm worried that he's going to argue with me about it. He's going to be like, how do you know vitamin C is good? I looked into it, it's not that good.
Wait, so did you...
So I didn't buy it for him.
See, that's reputation.
Yeah, that's his reputation
that's
to
that
me.
guy's reputation, absolutely.
3, 2, 1. All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 22. And today we've got a banger. We're talking about reputation.
Pump it up, boys.
Boys, at this stage, we've got a reputation for clapping, so he's got
So I'll pass it over to Dill to explain what we're talking about.
I think this one's going to be a really good one because this is such like a misunderstood topic, reputation, and there's not much information out there. Like, remember when we were Googling just to do a bit of research to touch up to see if we're missing any key points? We couldn't find anything, you know? So this is like such a good thing that it's just not much information out there. Mm-hmm. And what I like about it is I reckon every single person will at least learn one thing from this podcast, if not heaps. And sometimes maybe if you've heard about this stuff before and you've studied a lot about reputation, it's kind of like those classic books where you dive into it and you're reading it again and you're like, oh, I already know this, but you're forgetting to implement it in your life. So I think this is like one of those type of podcasts, and this is like the foundation of so much. And people don't understand how important reputation is. People just think like, you know, it's your perception of someone, and it's about like how you look, and you want to show off and that stuff. Some people regard it in that light, which is like a very negative light. But reputation is so important, and it's like power. So to set it up like how important it is, this is a quote from Warren Buffett. He says, "If you lose money for the company, I will be understanding. But if you lose a shred of reputation, I will be ruthless." So what he's literally saying is reputation is more important than money itself. You know, in the world of business and success and, you know, like going further in life, he's literally saying reputation is probably the most important thing you can have. So at the top, there's like knowledge, then there's probably reputation, then money and the other stuff comes after that. And people don't see it because it's an intangible asset. There's not like a little digit on your screen where, like, you know, you tap into your bank account or you see your balance sheet of your company. You can see numbers there. But reputation is really, really hard to quantify. So yeah, it's super important. What it is, it's an invisible asset. Literally, it's an asset. And we talk about it all the time. Boys, like, what's our reputation actually worth? And we try to actually put like a dollar figure on it. So like it is really powerful if you have a strong reputation. So what it practically is it's a combination of respect and trust, which allows you to gain like this power. It's kind of like magic in a way. Yeah.
I've always seen reputation as like other people's opinion of you.
Yeah.
It was like, what is the kind of outside world, the people you don't hang around with often and the people you hang around with often? What's their kind of difference in how they see you as a person?
Yeah.
More often than not, it's different. The people around you will have a certain kind of perspective on who you are, and then the people who you don't know regularly will have a different perspective again.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
And I think it's like almost more important of what does the outside world think? Not think of you as in like, oh, I really care what people think of me, but you should actually care because what those people think about you kind of is how you're perceived and will, you know, kind of create opportunity for you. It'll allow you to really move forward in whatever kind of venture you're trying to take.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Reputation is like your identity. Like what people perceive your identity to be based on like how you've behaved in the past and what type of person you are, like what's your morals, what's your values. That kind of defines who you are as a person, and how people perceive you is your reputation. And, you know, like they have the saying like reputation always precedes you. And that's what like you're talking about, Doc, in terms of like if you have a good reputation or you're known for something, then you attract more of that kind of action into your life. So kind of like, it does relate back to our previous podcast on law of attraction, because that's
Oh, yeah,
what
it
your
does.
reputation
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to like when we say in investing, you always want to invest with the trend because it's like you got the wind at your back. Same as when you're doing business or anything in life, you want to do it with your reputation because you got the wind at your back. It's way easier with a strong reputation. And like Doc was saying, it's about how they perceive you, and that can be different to what actually is reality. And you actually have to make them align. Because, like, what about us? Like, when we went away in hiding, we were grinding at home in the dojo, doing all this hard work and going large. People don't know about all of the knowledge that we've absorbed, how many hours we've put in, how many hours we've worked to develop our mindset and all of that. They still think of, like, the last time they spoke to us.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to actually push it out there and show them. And
Yeah.
showing them in a way that they can receive it, it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
Previously, like I know all of us, the interaction I've had with people from school is when I was in school, and I was that type of person.
Now you're a completely different person, right?
Yeah, like not even close to the human I was back then. So it's like now me interacting them with again, they still have that perspective of who I am. So that the interaction is not different until I can share with them the new me, until they realize that I am a new person. Or, you start with a small group of friends and then they talk to these other friends and to these other friends and to these other friends, like, oh, Doc's changed heaps. He's not even the same. And that's how you kind of domino reputation. But until you do that, you are still, the same person as when they met you last. Or last time I spoke to you.
What was like some of your experiences when you're like talking to your schoolmates now that you've got this more knowledge and they perceived your reputation to be the high school Doc, right? What's that interaction like now?
One thing I got, which I thought was a touch weird, was like, oh, you must have been an outlier for you to be able to create the kind of life you have now. Where it feels good because it's like, oh yeah, you must be like something special, but it's not the reality. So it's like, because I've been away for 4 or 5 years or something, in their own heads, it's created some kind of like distorted reality where I'm someone completely special, where the reality is I was this person and I put a certain amount of work in to become this type of person. So my reputation has preceded who I even actually am, if that makes sense. So did that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's also interesting on that front how it kind of like their reputation in their eyes can be like you're a little bit more special than you actually are for a certain type of people. And then some people just don't know that I'm any different at all, And back to the question of what are the interactions like? For the most part, it takes people a little while to realize that you're completely different, because it's just about the consistency of saying that different thing all the time. It was like when they say a funny joke from when you're in school and it's no longer funny to us, or we have a different sense of humor, or we have a different outlook on the world to kind of how they're used to, or we try and add value with everything we say so we don't speak so much anymore. It kind of like takes a little bit of time to just get that. And I find the first few interactions when you go back, which has only happened recently for me and some of us boys here, takes a little bit of time to just help let them realize.
Yeah, what we say as well is like to visualize it, it's kind of like a weighing scale. So if they've seen you way more interactions like with your old self at school, you need to add more weight to this is the new me, this is the new me, this is who I am, this is who I am. Then once you add a lot of weight and interactions on the right side, then they finally, get it.
And a new way of like building your reputation can be like through social media, right? And
for sure, yeah.
I assume it can be faster as well. Like I used social media to show everyone that I was investing. And I did that. I just kept posting stories for like 6 months about investing. And then now more and more people are coming to me and asking me about investing.
Now you're the investing guy, right?
Yeah, I'm slowly building that reputation.
Yeah.
So, but it does come with its costs as well. So because IG is so accessible to everyone, like you can post anything like throughout your day. Yeah. So it is a scary thing. So that's why I feel like reputation, even just this topic, is so important in this day and age.
Yeah. And like, something that, when Warren Buffett's talking about why reputation is so important is because you can always make money back.
Yeah.
But if you lose a shred of reputation, it's so hard to build back.
Yeah.
That's why you actually always want to go slow, do the right thing again and again and again, and have a compounding effect on your reputation.
Yeah.
And then money will come.
It's
Yeah.
almost impossible to get your reputation back because at the end of the day, you're building trust with someone, and trust cannot be given. It has to be earned.
Yeah.
Right. And trust through your actions. So like if you say something, you better back it up with action.
Yeah.
Or else you just lose your. If you think of reputation as like another stat for your RPG character, like if you say something but you don't do it, that number keeps going down.
Yeah.
You want to get to 100. You want to get to level 100.
Yeah.
You start at whatever point that kind of the average person does. And then depending on your actions and your consistency,
Yeah.
100%.
And it's super important. If you want to be successful, you really need to work on your reputation and image, because if you say anything, if you have a good reputation, people will actually listen because they respect you. They trust you. But if you and then you can actually make deals, you can actually do stuff, make things happen. Like imagine you want to open up a restaurant and you need $1 million for it and you don't have the cash. Do you have the reputation to get investors to back you and then open up that? It's very difficult. It sounds easy on paper, I'll just get $1 million, but the reputation's the most important part.
Maybe on a tangible level for people to like visualize it. For an example that we deal with on a daily basis, like if we get a referral from, say, a client we've helped out, we've taken them through the entire investing kind of strategy, and then get them signed up with, our portfolio, and then they refer us a client, it's coming with that person's, review. And that person's review is directly a kind of review of our reputation, or it gives us reputation in that person, the new person's eyes. So when they come to us, they already have a certain perspective of who we are, what we know, et cetera, because the other, the first client has done such a raging review, ideally, and it makes that sale considerably easier, makes the whole process considerably easier. They listen more, they're more attentive, you have less barriers to overcome, everything.
And that's a good point about why, again, reputation is better than money, because think of that in a business sense. How much would you pay for marketing? How much would you pay for your sales team to attract these leads? They're coming in for free.
Yeah.
No work.
Yeah.
Just from pure reputation.
How do you value that on like a business balance sheet? That's like very hard to value.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
So hard.
That's what I was thinking when you said we put a dollar figure next to it. I was like, fuck, we're still working on that.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's very hard.
It's like, what is it?
Yeah.
No, it's funny.
All right, so let's jump into it. Let's actually talk about how to gain and increase your reputation. So I think the overarching theme is you really want to think, going back to the social media thing, if your life was literally posted 100% on your story, not just the highlights that you handpick to go on your story, but every action you take, if it goes onto your Instagram story and the whole world can see it, you got to start thinking like that. Because if you're if you're doing dodgy shit or something that you're not really proud of, it's really not going to result in your reputation and your public image rising. You'll be doing the opposite. So, the biggest thing that we always talk about, and is one of the basics, is you just want to help as many people as possible by adding value to them. You want to give something, and remember, Gary Vee talks about this all the time, with his jab, 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 right hook, which means give, keep on giving something, and then eventually ask for something in return. And this is the stage of business we're at, because no one really knows who we are. A few of you guys listening right now do, but the reality is we only have 100 subscribers or so. So you guys, we feel very blessed to have you, but we need to keep on giving more value, through the podcast, Instagram, and just in our general lives, to attract more people so they trust us. So this is the stage we're at. It's just by constantly helping.
And it has to be to build that reputation, you have to be known for a person who gives value, which means you have to do it regularly, and you have to do it if you're doing it with social media, then you have more of an opportunity. But if you're doing it in a personal interaction, you only have so many times you can see a person.
Yeah.
So, if you meet one person once a month, sometimes more than likely every couple of months, you only have that hour or 2 hours that you spend with them to really give them as much value for them to really respect it, is what you're saying. And more,
Sure.
you have to give them so much value for them to be able to actually speak to someone else and share the message and the value that they have just given. You have to really go, above and beyond. Because if you don't, it's just going to be some motivational video they watch on YouTube they forget about in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that goes back to like how we get referrals when we help out people get invested. Is that we provide more value than we consume. And like if you were to say how long it took us to learn all this stuff, like especially for you, Dylan, you spent what, 200 books?
Yeah, 200 books.
To consume that knowledge?
That's a small part too, compared to all the videos and all of that. Videos and podcasts is way longer than 200 books.
What are you going on, 10 years?
Yeah, almost 10 years now.
10 years of investing. And then to condense all that information and give it to someone for free in like an hour session, that's extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And, the way we say it with love, they appreciate it, they understand it more, and they feel like they're being heard and they're being understood by their situation. And then that's why they, refer us to other people. That's how you build your reputation that way.
Yeah.
I think people are used to only getting so much help. Like they're used to like the customer service type of help. It's like they solve or slightly solve such a small and specific problem. And then when you go above and beyond past that, people I've found sometimes are a little bit like, how much? I've had people ask, how much does this cost? Like when we do it, like it's labeled as a free consultation. Hey, I'll do a free consultation with you, and after they'll still ask how much it costs.
They're so shocked. I get so many people that are so shocked. I'm like, what do you get out of this?
Yeah.
I feel
I'm like, I get to help you.
But that's the thing. I think, unfortunately, there's so many bad players in this space of finance, personal finance, investing, that it gets a bad rap. And the reputation is that this person is out to fool me, or this person is out to scam me. That's the unfortunate thing. And I think that's why like our business kind of relates back to Warren Buffett. Like we can lose money, but if we lose reputation, that's game over, right? That's why it's like we haven't, done any marketing and any of that kind of stuff, because we want to just give out free value, just free value.
Yeah. Would you guys say because this is kind of the metric I think of, like when I say if I had a successful interaction with a client, is like if I get a referral from them, because that means they were willing to talk about, what I was speaking about to someone else. And for a lot of people, that's scary to go and put that to someone else, especially when they don't know as much as we do about it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've always felt like that's the metric to know if you're really adding the value. And still working on that, of trying to give as much as possible. Haven't got it perfect yet, I'll tell you that, because the conversion rates, they're still okay. Working on it.
Yeah. Well, I think a good thing is like talking about it's spreading by word of mouth, is people really underestimate the power of word of mouth and your reputation, because imagine you just give someone the best, service ever. They're blown away by how good you are and all that stuff. Then they tell 5 people. Then those 5 people come to you, and then those 5 people tell another 5 people. Straight away, you hit 25 people. You do another 5x
from
on
one really good interaction.
From one really, So it just spreads out like crazy.
Yeah.
So if you have a low reputation, you can use these tips from today's podcast to actually increase it very fast. And it's hard at the beginning. There's a compounding effect. But after like 5 or 10 years, you can be known, for having, a respectable person, being a respectable person.
Absolutely.
I think in my personal life, one thing that I've noticed is the reputation that my parents have, or the perceived reputation I have in front of my parents.
Yeah.
It's completely changed over the last 6-7 years. Because prior to that, I was like, growing up, I was always agreeable to things, and I was really easily influenced. So I didn't really have my own way. And like whatever my parents told, I pretty much did, because I thought that was the best way.
And they'll never respect you if you just listen to them.
Exactly.
They won't respect you as an adult. Right?
Exactly. So like when I, joined Hardcore Headstart like 6-7 years ago, they thought this was a scam, right? They thought I'm wasting my time learning about finance and investing, which is extremely risky because they obviously don't have the knowledge. Yeah. Now, because I've stuck with it and been consistent for so long, and over the past, 6 years, just kept providing them with value and information about what investing is. They are more educated now. And now they respect me as an investor. And because of that, I was able to convince them to actually invest in our portfolio.
Yeah.
For your parents to actually give you any sort of trust in that, in terms of like finance, that's very hard to achieve. I think it comes back to like free value, consistency, and then just keep doing it, you know?
Yeah. When we talk about the consistency thing, like you said, we started hardcore under Dylan like 6 or 7 years ago. So you've been talking since then for 6 or 7 years. They've been able to see you grow. They've been able to see kind of just the way you communicate change as well. That consistency for doing it for that many years, that is like probably one of the main things that sold them on finally, actually letting you control some of their finances and stuff like that, which is, I mean, that's crazy, but consistency is the key there, I found. And I can share in that story as well.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what's happened with me and my family as well.
Yeah.
On your point, Dill, there's this really good video that Jordan Peterson did, and I used to watch that all the time. And pretty much what he says in that is, picture yourself as a node in a network, and over the course of your life, you're going to know 1,000 people. And if you talk to other people, those people are going to know another 1,000 people. And over time, that will be 1,000,000 people. And if you know another person, that could be 1,000,000,000 people.
Yeah, literally. Literally
So
works like that.
the power of your speech is so important. What you put out in the world and what you say to people is that important, because it spreads to like wildfire to 1,000,000,000 people.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, how it works.
Especially now that we have, social media, it's even faster, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think maybe a good like example of like giving more than you take. Like just imagine like you don't have a car for whatever reason and you need to borrow your friends. So you have two options. You can either borrow your friends, hopefully you have a friend that can offer you one, or you can go and rent a car. Renting a car, I'm guessing, I haven't checked the prices recently, but I'm guessing probably at least around $150 for a day. So, all right, you're getting a free $150 then by borrowing your mate's car. So your mates, obviously everyone knows you have to top the petrol back up at least to where it was, if not a whole entire tank.
You're a shit human if you don't do that.
Yeah.
So let's just say, all right, you top the tank up from wherever it was, probably cost you another $50. You still got an extra $100 for free. So you're not even yet. Then you may as well detail clean the car yourself. Imagine if you're making $20 an hour or something, 25, you may as well spend 1 hour just giving her a real nice scrub, nice and quick. You take her down and you can, we used to wash our cars in like 3 minutes flat, like going the Nando's speed, doing the detail cleaning.
100% true. It was madness.
Yeah. Like a little trick that we used to do, it's actually funny, is we used to put the $1, $2 coin in. I think it has to be minimum $2.
Yeah.
And then you quickly spray it with the soap. And then you quickly, like within a minute, then you quickly get the foam brush out and you start brushing it. And then the $2 coin runs out. But it doesn't matter. You don't need extra foam coming out of your foam brush. And you just brush the whole thing down. So you've saved that money. So you spend like 5 minutes on it or whatever. Oh, quicker than that. And then you put another $2 in and then you just wash her clean. And she's done.
Bro,
we did 2 coins, boys.
Wait, we used to do it way
2
quicker.
coins.
Don't you remember we used to do half the car. So he would be doing that, like scrubbing the thing, right? And then I would get the gun and spraying the soap off while he's still doing the back of the car. So by the time he's done, I've caught up to him. Like we're both drenched at the end of the fucking thing because we're just running through it. And then within like literally 4 minutes, the whole car's been scrubbed and washed off and we're driving out.
Yeah, you do it quick.
Are you serious? I spent like $20 the other day to clean my car.
You're slow, son.
I'm way too slow because my car's really wide as well.
Yeah.
Bro, she's a fucking Camry, bro. She's not a truck.
Yeah, but I'm only one person, dog. There's only so much I can do.
We used to like little crackheads running around that freaking thing. That was hilarious.
So yeah, I think people don't think in that way. You got to really put a dollar value on the time or the value.
Yeah.
Like what value are you receiving? What is that actually worth in dollars?
Yeah.
And then give at least a bit of it back.
Like something that really frustrates me is like when you do a favor for someone and then they don't, like let's just say you give someone money and they said they're going to pay you back and they never do. Like that just stains their reputation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because now you don't trust that person. You probably won't give.
Yeah,
them
and I'm probably
money
going to
again.
tell other people that I don't trust that person.
Yeah. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Ripper. I think we might move on to the next topic. So this one's an interesting one. we're talking about materialism and literally buying material goods. And this is a really tough one for people to understand because people straight away think about it. It's all about showing off and, buying a car that you can't afford, like some BMW, Mercedes, and taking out a loan and all of this stuff. But it's not really like that. It's about you can communicate through the items you use every day. So, like as an example, we when we're doing investing things, we always try to have like not super like in a suit and all of that stuff, but we like to have like a decent smart casual outfit, kind of similar to like what we usually wear on this podcast. So then it's you kind of like setting the image. If we rocked up in like a VB singlet, it's just gonna look Bintang singlet from Bali.
Why are you going to my culture, bro?
Dude, you know what's funny though? Now that we're doing like Zoom calls as well, I'm just like bottom half. I'm like,
bottom half's all
Stray
right.
and Bogan. I love
it's,
I'm like
that's like-
casual.
It's only what they can see, bro. It's only what they can see.
It's like if you had a job interview over Zoom, you just have like the top half all done.
Yeah, like suit.
The interviewer should be like, stand up.
You're fired.
I saw this funny thing on TikTok. It was like this guy not realizing he had shorts on, and he had like the suit done up at the top, and he had to like go turn the light off or something, light
I've
on,
seen this one.
or close the door. I can't remember what it was. And then like I don't know, someone said, "Oh, you're wearing shorts" or something like that, and then he realized he was all embarrassed. He was apologizing, and then the boss gets up and walks over, closes the door, and he's wearing shorts as well. Very funny.
Oh shit.
Another example of this, which is a little bit more nuanced, is say like when I go cycling, I've been always a big proponent of wearing fluoro gear so you can be seen by cars and traffic and stuff like that. Obviously, what is the high school guy in my head saying is like, you look silly, you look like a fluoro whatever, just going down the street.
Like a nerd.
Yeah, like a nerd. But it's actually a reputation play. And it is literally for that thing, because I truly believe the safety is more important than the looks. And that's what I want my brand to be. My brand is Dylan Weston is someone that thinks intelligently. Like he thinks about all of these consequences. If he's managing millions and millions of dollars on the behalf of other people, you bloody hope that he prepares for the downside. When you're going cycling, what's the downside risk? You need a really good helmet. So I bought the most expensive one you can buy because it is safer. It's better for you. There's not the biggest difference in the world. There is diminishing returns, like after I think around $80, you get diminishing returns. But then with the fluoro shirt, it looks so silly, but it's like the best investment you can make for riding a bicycle. Even, my scooter, I always wore fluoro the whole time. And, when you get your learners these days, you're forced to wear fluoro on your learners for a motorbike, but you should just wear it no matter what. Like, I want to see the boys on the big Harleys and the gangs. Chuck on a bit of fluoro, mate. There's nothing wrong with it.
Jokes.
The funny part was when you said on the podcast a couple podcasts ago, like when we were talking about people that are always like, "Oh, I'm gonna die tomorrow, so what's the point of investing?" And then you were saying, "Mate, just buy some fluoro and wear it around."
It was like, you're gonna get hit by a bus. Yeah. You're not gonna get hit by a bus if you're wearing fluoro.
It's funny, but it's so true.
Right. But I remember at Nando's, like we spoke about it before, like when I bought my scooter for $4,000 secondhand, 6 months old, the price had dropped from roughly $8,000 down to $4,000. So in that 6 month period, it dropped by 50%. Scoop that thing up. Petrol costs $1 a day. Saved me so much money, and people used to make fun of me because of my scooter. Right, but that was actually my brand. My brand is I'm sacrificing to make more money.
So were you worried at all when people started making fun of you?
What were people saying?
Yeah.
Oh, people just make fun of me all the time. Like, oh, you've got a scooter, that's it. Oh, you can't even afford a motorbike. Oh, how come a motorbike's worse than a car?
But
things like this.
Did you worry that would stain your reputation?
No, because
like obviously it won't stain your reputation at all. But
yeah, well, at the beginning, I had no reputation to back up. It was a reputation play for the future, and I'm like, all right, now like I say it, like the scooter was my biggest savings that I had compared to anyone else. And again, with my I was famous for working at Nando's as the manager, always putting my fluoro jacket on the chair. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually a chess move to ingrain it into someone's mind. Dylan's the guy that wears fluoro. And then you want to stain it in their minds. And then you stain it. Behind your back, they're probably talking shit, you know, because they're insecure and that you look like an outlier, so they will talk shit behind your back. Then when you win, bro, that's scarred in their minds. That's scarred forever. And then it's like, man, it makes sense now. Dylan was next level at age 19.
Yeah, I think your reputation play was like hardcore sacrificer
Yeah.
/ investor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it safe as well, you know,
Yeah.
protect the downside.
Materialism, if it's thought about, it's like, it's the story of kind of the materials that you buy. It's what it says about you as a person. And I think people, they get it so wrong when they just think it's an ego play all the time. They get it really, really, really good at it.
Maybe another good example about that would be, like, growing up, I just love the Japanese cars, like, you know, Tokyo Drift and all of that stuff. I'd love Need for Speed and Forza and playing all of these different car racing games. I just loved it so much. Always, you know, make your cool car and put neons on it and all that stuff. Now, even if I had the money to like buy whatever one I wanted, it's not worth it. You know, like, imagine I just started riding around with, like, you know, Mitsubishi Lancer, an Evo. It wouldn't match my brand.
That's like super loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, I know.
Have you noticed as you've evolved as well, your tastes have changed? Like, do you still want? Do you want a Mitsubishi Lancer?
It would be cool to have it, but not really.
Like, not factoring in the pros versus cons in regards to reputation. Have you noticed, like, that's actually changed? Like, your ideas of what you actually want has changed, and you've embodied, you know, kind of the picture of you.
Yeah.
You know, your brand.
Yeah.
You've embodied who you are, which has now changed.
Yeah,
your
for sure.
ideas, Yeah.
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 That's why now, like,
Makes
I'd
sense.
really want, like, one of those big Mercedes vans. Like, we talk about how we'll get it for Bali.
The Sprinter things.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
and you get that full decked out, like how Justin Bieber rocks up to his concerts and stuff like that. He's got all the good shit in there, and it's just like a living room. You got a whole living room on wheels.
I think the cool thing, like what you said about, like, you know, you love your Japanese cars, and you thought maybe like when you were younger, I'm going to have a Japanese car and, like, you know, be like Tokyo Drift and, you know, live that lifestyle. But the cool thing is, like, you are in full control of like what your reputation is going to be.
Yeah.
It's like it's your free will to decide what your reputation will be.
Yeah.
So like right now you can get a Japanese car, but you choose not to.
Yeah.
Because you're building your future reputation now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I think that's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I guess I wish when I was younger, like, I wish I thought about that more as well. I wish I knew a lot about reputation. I guess I was kind of lucky because my parents, like, they were part of such a big community, and they didn't want to look bad in front of the community, so they would always, like, keep me from doing bad stuff.
Yeah.
So, but as I grew older, you know, I got a bit rebellious, and I was like, oh yeah, whatever. No one cares about reputation, but
Yeah.
everyone
Like, what
does.
is reputation?
Yeah.
You don't really understand what it is.
Yeah.
I think when I was younger, I never thought about the long-term effects of reputation.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought, like, the long-term effects of what I was doing and stuff like that, which it is what it is. I'm paying for it the last couple of years, I'll tell you that for sure. Having to rebuild so hard and be so consistent, so disciplined in everything. You can't make a slip up, or else it's so easy for people to just revert back to the thing. So you have to be as close to perfect as possible. Well,
The next best thing we can do is tell the younger people that are watching this, protect your reputation.
Yeah. Start now.
Start now.
Start now.
Yeah.
I think like a really good, like, speaking of cars, like, we all love Tesla here. I think if I hadn't been on this journey with Hardcore Headstart, I would have, like, been in just like a regular job, and I would guarantee you I would have bought a Tesla before buying stocks. It's like now we say, with the knowledge that we have and the reputation that we're trying to build, we can afford a Tesla, but we would rather own the stock because it's our play for the future. And that's the reputation we're trying to build, which is we think about our future. We want to have fun in the future, so we sacrifice a little bit now. It's really cool to actually own. We love Tesla. Like, we're not bagging on people that have Teslas. It's just, if you want to be on this journey to have success in your life, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. So it's like those lifestyle choices that you make, they build your reputation. You can have good or bad reputation.
Yeah.
It's interesting, those lifestyle choices. Like, what are some other examples of things we do throughout our life that tell the story of who we are, right? So I think maybe a good example is, you know, the way we walk across the road. You know, like, when you're younger, I did this personally myself. When you're younger, if there's a car coming, you won't speed up, you'll slow down. You know, you'll walk a little bit cool. What's that treadmill walk, the 2.0? You'll walk nice and cool like this, kind of McGregor style.
Do the Billy strut?
Yeah, like you're some kind of cool kid. But the way we walk across the road now is, you know, we actually speed up, as in we run. You know, we'll walk normally 3/4 of the way, and then we run pretty much to the end of the crossing, because simply we want to add value to the driver. We want to get off the road as quick as possible and get out of their way so they can move on with their day. There's nothing worse than sitting there and waiting. You're like, these boys are just strolling. What's the point? Plus, get off the road, less chance of getting hit, son. You know, I don't want to get hit by a car.
Literally, if you run, you're showing you actually care about people, and we have a lack of ego, and that's our brand that we want to build. We have a lack of ego. You know, we're very stern on knowing who we are. And sometimes that may come off as arrogance to some people that don't have the knowledge to see the nuance in how we speak and all of that. But it is like to show, you know, like we literally care so much. Please. Like, one of the things that I hate is, like, you know, when you're going straight and you can either be in the left lane or the right lane, and then the green arrow turns left, but it's still a red light, so you can't go straight, and then you're holding up all the traffic. That's the worst, man.
Yeah.
Like, every time I'm like, oh, why was I didn't think about that and go in the right lane? I just wasted all these people 1 minute of a cycle, and 1 minute's a lot of time.
I hate when they swap at the last minute because they want to be at the front of the line. Like, they're in the right lane, and then they swap out just to get in front. You're like,
block everyone else.
What is the point?
I think another thing that is like, speaking of reputation and like driving and roads and stuff, is like, if you're driving, like, drive the speed limit, because I know people that, like, they go really slow and then they cause so much traffic behind. I experienced this a lot because, like, when I was working at Jetstar, my first job at Jetstar, I was working at Telemarine, which is like an hour and a half drive, and the hour and a half is because of traffic. People driving extremely slow. Now there's more things to that, like, but you get road rage and
I'd say even like going fast is probably the bigger one, I reckon.
Yeah.
You know, especially like younger kids, they're always like speeding around, being hooligans and all this stuff. They're just ruining their reputation. They're showing like they're not thinking about the downside.
Yeah, like constant lane changes and putting other people's lives at risk.
Yeah.
I always think like imagine like if you're switching lanes and you're cutting someone off, imagine if they have like a baby in the car.
Yeah.
Like, how much stress would they have?
Yeah.
And you're giving them that stress. It's like,
That's
it's
true,
a bad play on your reputation. It's like, this person is dangerous on the road.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, and talking about road rage and stuff, you don't want to be a person that gets affected by that stuff too, because it's just the law of large numbers. There's so many people on the roads. Some of them are going to be the type of human being that does silly stuff. So we shouldn't allow that to affect our emotions. We should be more like stoic, be more centered, be grounded like a rock, and don't get all worked up on it, because if we get worked up on it, we can't affect the outcome. It's not like you can actually go in and communicate with that guy. Hey, mate, can we talk for 5 minutes? Just like to say, you know, can you please obey the laws and all this stuff? Like, it's just not possible. So if we're screaming at him, putting our rude finger up and all of that, it's going back to law of attraction again. We're just going to be attracting more bullshit.
Yeah. There's a lot of Uncle Toby's on the road.
You can't do anything about it. And that's actually a good thing, like that I've learned from like just being on a scooter for so long, is you're taught you have to look at every single car and then check the blind spots of every car. When you're riding, don't be anywhere near it. Have like 10 meters gap minimum between each car around you in every direction. So like and as a thing, like I would always do is I'll try my best to get to the front of the red light. I will zoom off pretty fast at the light to get to the speed limit as quick as possible, so I have a massive gap. It's not to show off like, oh, a scooter's fast or whatever, or a motorbike's faster than a car at a stoplight. It's to get away from everybody, so you're safe.
With road rage, I feel sorry for the people who get so upset about such little things like that. Like, how much stress in your life are you dealing with that someone who, well, either you have to cut someone off to get in front to save the, 4 seconds but risk your life, or you get so pissed off when someone pushes in front of you slightly. Like, I used to drive for a living, so I've had ridiculous amounts of exposure to walnuts on the road. And you can't keep your sanity if you're caring about every minor thing that happens like that. You will lose your mind. It's like dominoes on top of dominoes, and by the time you say you drive into work, by the time you get into work, you've just reacted to 5 different things that have happened on the road. By the time you get into work, you're goddamn pissed off with the day already. Good luck actually trying to do any form of like value adding at work or any productivity type of thing. Like, you're screwed, man.
Yeah, imagine having the reputation of being like the person that comes into work angry.
Oh man,
that's
they're
the worst. No
people.
one wants to be associated with you. No one wants to go near you. Oh, this person's just going to bring me down as soon as they get to work. So you don't want to be that guy or girl.
Those people.
Work is already like, sometimes
What
work is already how it is, right? Like, work's not great. No one really. Most people don't enjoy it. You don't want to be there not enjoying it. Plus, with some people, someone is just, I got cut off this morning. I was on this road. You won't believe this. I was on this road and someone cut me off. Mate, shut up. Just let me have my coffee. Go away, bro.
Yeah. There is something interestingly, because I used to road rage a lot. There's something weirdly satisfying about getting angry in your car. I don't know why.
I think it's more letting out your emotions. It's kind of like, how people say like it's really good to scream every now and then.
Yeah.
'Cause you always feel better after screaming.
Yeah.
But something that's helped me a lot is like I play a podcast or a book or something.
Yeah.
And then if I do get angry, like, I don't know, I'm so focused on the podcast
Oh,
that like I don't really care about getting angry.
Yeah.
that is a must to do for people as well. Let's remind them. Like, if you're going out in the car and you're going to be wasting time anyway, got to be educating yourself with podcasts.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, I love traffic now. I don't care about traffic.
Yeah,
because I'm just sitting there consuming. It gives me more time to consume the podcast. Yeah.
It's like, you're in a car. What else am I going to do?
It's like perspective change, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
If you get home, you got so many more variables of things you can actually do. If you're driving, only one thing you can do.
Exactly. I think like when you're driving as well, you're very emotional because you're pretty much facing death potentially, right?
So you're like switched on.
Yeah, so you become like primal in a way, which is why you get very reactive to things. Like if someone cuts you off, it's like, hey, you could have killed me, So just be aware of that, and putting on the podcast definitely reduces that anxiety and that primal instinct.
I think definitely a thing to work on for anyone who still gets pissed off in traffic. Got to work on that thing, because that means there's pent up problems there, pent up stress that you're already dealing with.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, the other thing about like when we're witnessing someone else get road rage, like we saw it the other day when we were cruising on our bikies, we saw this guy cracking it, and he was having to go at the bus.
Oh my God, it was absurd.
But the thing is, like, it's crazy and we make fun of it and all of that. But we always speak about it here, that it really motivates us, because the only reason that guy's going crazy is because of lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding, and a lack of understanding a lot of what we teach. If he had the same opportunities that we did, he could be completely changed. Facts. He could be enjoying his life. And man, how lucky were we? This guy was really pissed off. Obviously, he was in a massive rush because he was working during work hours. And then we were just chilling in a beautiful 23-degree, 24-degree day in the sun. There was no wind, and we were on our new bikes.
No stress in our lives.
Had this beautiful sense of freedom because of the bikes itself. And then we don't have to work during the standard 9 to 5 hours. And then we saw that thing, guy honking his head off, honking his horn. That's how lucky we are. And that's what motivates us to really help as many people as possible. because we're fixing that pain and anger.
For sure.
There's a major point there. There's no difference between us and that person other than the knowledge we've been able to luckily accumulate.
We want to talk about the people that always come up with all these crazy business ideas every month.
My, don't get me started.
I'm gonna get you started, G.
Augustus's.
Get started, G.
Get
Get started, G. Unravel, G.
Yeah, well, I guess, you know, what we're talking about is you don't want to be the person that every single week comes up with a new business idea and is like, oh man, I'm working on this new business and all of this. And then, you know, everybody will applaud you because like, oh, great, you're doing well. You know, you're doing something, you're going down your own passion, your own path in life. But then in a month, if you stop it and then you start something else, then they're like, oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's failure's good and all of that stuff. And they give you a round of applause.
You learn from that.
Yeah. But then if you keep on doing it every single month for 2 years or so, and we know people like that, now it's just portraying to the world, you're not thinking enough. You're not thinking before you take action. So you're not actually thinking long term or thinking about all the hurdles that you can face. So it can really ruin your reputation because you kind of are turning into the boy that cried wolf. So then when you do find your very serious business, one that you really 100% on, you have 100% conviction, now it's really hard to convince people because your reputation has already suffered.
And when you go to speak to someone who's actually can give you the opportunity, if they already know your reputation, you're done. You're done. Like all of us, we're in business, and if someone's already already come to us with 8 different business ideas within inside of 2 months, I'm not listening to the 9th. It's not happening.
Yeah. That's actually a good thing as well. Is like if you're talking to someone more successful than you and you want to add value to them, or like just when you talk, make sure it is something like proper. Like if you've got 10 business ideas, choose your best one and tell them. If they're not happy with it, for me personally, I wouldn't really talk about the others. You know, unless I really know, like I've thought it through and I'm very sure I made a mistake that that best one, what I thought was the best, not the best. Number 6 is the best. Like you don't want to just keep chucking numbers at them because you just annoy these people. Their time is very important.
I unfortunately know an Augustus who came up to us with a lot of business ideas, and we both sat down and helped him out. We made like a strategy for him and everything, like a bunch of books and podcasts he can watch. He did nothing. And then he goes around he goes off like partying and everything and, you know, having fun at the time of his life. And then he's trying to help people with investing on top of that. He himself doesn't really invest. He invests, but like, you know, he doesn't have a proper strategy.
But what's his reputation to other people?
I'm probably just like party. Like he's known as like a dumbass.
Degenerate.
Yeah, essentially.
That's like you don't want to be the person that gives investing or business advice if your reputation is a party goer.
Dude, and like we post stories as well. He copies us and does the same thing.
Yeah.
And I see that and I cringe. I'm like, dude, you can't be helping. And he tells me, he's like, oh, yeah, I'm helping people invest as well. And I'm like, bro, you can't be helping people because you don't even know what you're doing for yourself.
Yeah.
Damn, I hope that dude can get out of his own way and listen.
Yeah.
All bugger,
Because if he's got the passion to be able to actually do some of those things, he just doesn't have the knowledge that actually do them well. It can actually be he can add value to people eventually if he just gets that knowledge in.
Yeah.
Just like, see it in so many young people. We just need to, and got me as well. I guarantee I just wouldn't get out of my own way. People won't get out of their own way to be able to be helped, to be able to listen, to get the other knowledge in.
But yeah, to answer your question, like his reputation is like loose unit, like party goer, like dumbass.
But yeah, I think we can see the story very clearly with this poor bugger. It's all stemming from insecurity. So like, why is he partying? Because of insecurity. Yeah. Now on the other side, why is he trying to get people invested? Because he wants to show he's worth something in the marketplace. He has value to give when he really doesn't. So now he's like, has this dilemma where there's 2 ends of the spectrum, trying to solve the one problem of insecurity. Poor bugger's just lost.
Faking it till you're making it. Yeah. Right? But he never makes it.
Yeah. You never make it. And you just screw people over if you fake it.
Yeah.
There is a time in your life when you're simply not going to be able to help people. Like you're just not smart enough. You're just not this. You're just not that.
Yeah. You'll put the work
it's
in.
Not forever. Do the work and you get there.
Yeah.
Like in your very specific case, what, 2-3 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to help people. Now,
Yeah, that's true.
you help hundreds of people.
Yeah. I think this topic of business ideas, and it's a very nuanced topic, because in a way, what you were saying, Doc, you should get out of your way if you're doing the wrong thing and you're going the wrong way and your reputation is getting affected by that. You should definitely get out of your way. So that means quit, right? But if you are the person that has 10 different business ideas in a month and you've attempted all 10 and you've quit, that's another thing as well. So it's how much of a quitter are you, and why can't you stick to something? That is also a reputation on you. You're just a quitter. You just come up with these ideas, but you never stick to it. And I feel like, how we say now failure is good. If you think about it, if you go back to the 80s and you had a business idea and you failed, people called you a loser. Not that you're learning from your failure. No one did that shit back then. You're a fucking loser for not getting your business up and running.
Yeah.
Now we're a bit more soft. We're hey, this is just a failure. You're going to learn from this. So we're actually lucky now.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Participation award culture.
Exactly. So I feel like it's a little bit nuanced in that area. If you're a quitter, if you have so many ideas and you just keep quitting one after the other. I personally was that type of person, which is why it was really hard for me to build reputation with my parents.
Yeah.
Because every single month I would be doing something different.
It's frustrating that that's a narrative there. Once you fail at something, it's fine, or you just learn. What are you learning?
Well, I think that's the distinction. There's a distinction there. It's if you make a mistake or you fail in something, for it to be a learning lesson, you have to then learn from it and use it, apply it in something else.
That's true.
If you don't, it was opportunity cost. It's just a waste of time and money.
There's elements of extreme ownership in there where you have to take ownership because you failed, right?
To be able to learn from mistakes.
To learn from your mistakes. Then you have to have a lack of ego to actually, be aware that you've messed up and you have to learn from it.
Yeah, that's really well said.
And you should communicate to people what you've actually learned too from the failure to gain your reputation back.
Yeah.
Say oh, this is what I've actually learned from this experience. It's going to really help me in the future.
Communication part is really important.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. I think it's been said a few times throughout the podcast. I'm really honing on that.
Yeah.
The communication of what it is you're doing is so important.
For sure.
Yeah. Another one is you just don't want to be the person that's just constantly negative as well. It relates to the road rage, but you don't want to be that person that just sucks energy out of the room as soon as they enter.
Yeah.
You want to be someone that adds value. Energy is value too.
Yeah.
You want to be grouchy Gary.
Negative Nancy.
Listening to Jason Oppenheim, who's a real estate agent and businessman and investor who has the TV show Selling Sunset on Netflix. He talks about it all the time, where he says that's why he chooses to work with his friends. And that's what I love about the TV show is it's showing kind of a side. It's hard to see it because you just see the drama and all that stuff. But if you see behind that's all to sell the TV show. Behind that, there's a real business there. And he has a similar concept to what we're doing. We are only 100% friends because it's better. So you got to think really long term, what is the difference between if you had $2 billion or $100 million, but $100 million you had more fun with your friends the whole way, which one would you actually choose?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's such a big money number that doesn't even matter, really.
Past 10 mil, what's the fucking difference, bro?
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to try to buy a super yacht?
Yeah.
It's you're going to have fun for a week and then that's it. You
Yeah.
spend $1 billion.
Just wait a couple of months.
Yeah.
The interest will let you rent one.
Exactly.
And that idea can get very nuanced as well, because then you can start relating back to effective altruism, saying, oh, but $2 billion is a lot of money to help people's lives.
That's right.
But then to counteract that, you have to really think long term, what are the odds of you actually making it that far? And not giving up and not getting burnt out by being around people you don't want to be around.
Or you yourself changing and realize you don't want that.
Exactly. Yeah, let's say you do eventually get $2 billion somehow and you realize, hey, I'm not going to use effective altruism.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
So then that affects your reputation. You said you were going to do effective altruism, but you never did.
Oh,
Isn't that one of Sam made his points, right? He's like, if you're actually not donating anything at the moment, how do you know when you're a billionaire you're actually going to donate it all?
Yeah.
You have to prove it to yourself.
Yeah.
You got to donate now. All right, boys. What we've got next is, so we've got the book here, 48 Laws of Power. It's on the bench. So this is a real ripper book, but it's a bit old school. So it's talking about how to gain power, different ways. And obviously, like we were saying before, reputation is what gives you power. So what we've actually done is we've just gotten like a few of the laws out of that book, and we've just updated them a little bit to make them more, because a lot of it's about medieval times.
This is very medieval. Like take over a kingdom.
Yeah, take over a kingdom.
Majority of them ended in death,
Yeah.
which was stressful.
But yeah, when we update them, there's a lot of wisdom there. So you want to go with the first law, which is law 4, Doc?
Law 4 is always say less than necessary. When trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear and less in control. When it is vague, it will seem more original. Powerful people impress by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish.
That's a ripper because, like, a lot of with reputation, all of that, you want to act in a way that is yourself in 5 years. So you want to dress it how you'll look in 5 years and all that stuff, just to set that image now. Like when I think of like Jeff Bezos, when he's like around people, I don't think he's just going to be blabbering about whatever comes to his mind, straight away, like a comedian.
You see the Kardashians on the weekend?
Whenever he's going to speak, he's going to probably speak with chosen those words, specifically, so it's shorter, straight to the point, and no fluff to save other people's time and talk about things that actually matter.
And he would have thought about this
Oh, yeah.
over and over in his head before speaking it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think like people don't plan it out. Like it can be stressful thinking like this, but like imagine you want to progress in the workplace and you need to speak to your boss about something and negotiate something. That negotiation might be 10 minutes, but you never want to walk into the negotiation with your plan, like without a plan.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan ready to go.
I've always found like the point of adding value, or when you're adding value, I should say, is you're usually saying something that someone hasn't heard before. So when you're saying something someone hasn't heard before, they need time to think about it and understand what it is you're talking about. So the silence in the middle there is actually 3/4 of the point. So don't fill that silence with fluff and that silence with bullshit and fluff, because it defeats the point.
Yeah.
It separates the person from thinking about what they need to be. It makes them focus on the new thing that you're talking about for no reason, just because it seems awkward. That awkward silence is people really taking in, the value you just added.
Yeah, and that's the perfect example is Elon Musk. Like, listen to him on Joe Rogan's podcast. He pauses for like 10 seconds to really think about the answer and not just spit out something that whatever comes to his brain. Because whatever comes out to your brain first, there's a high chance that it's wrong, And then you start backing whatever you just said, and then you just start digging a hole deeper and deeper for yourself.
When you do that, you lose reputation.
Yeah.
Because if you're throwing out a point that doesn't make sense or is not fully intact, people can see through it. And when they can see through points, they're going to have that kind of perspective. They can see through all of your points, and then all of your points no longer make sense, and then GG.
Yeah, so, and also it says always say less than necessary. I think this also relates to trying not to use big words, like very, like words that people don't understand. Because if you can say the same thing, but one has more letters and some of the audience won't understand it because they don't have that in their vocabulary, then that literally is not adding value. You're keeping people out from learning faster by using those big words. It's not an English class, yeah?
I think Russell Brand's a great example of this. He uses words to actually confuse. He's usually in debates more.
Yeah, it's good for debates.
Yeah, it's great for debates, but he's using those words to confuse people. So when he uses them in like maybe a podcast setting, which is just conversating, it just confuses everyone and throws things up in the air, and it's like you can't have a good conversation like that.
Yeah.
Albert Einstein had like a really good like hierarchy of like how knowledgeable you are, and it's like novice, intermediate, master, then genius, and then at the end it's like simple. That's like the most like highest level of knowledge. It's like just keep it simple.
That's a ripper.
Yeah.
And this is something that we're trying to work on every single day. Like how do we explain it, as simple as possible? It's not easy to do. It's actually harder.
Yeah.
It's way harder. You can actually know something in your head, know it like almost 98% until you can actually, maybe people say until you can explain it simply, you don't know it well enough, but you can operate on knowing 98% of it because it's just in your skull. You know, you can do what you need to because it's just in the back of the brain. But when you have to go and explain that to someone else, she.
And when you're talking really fast and just adding in all of these big words, it kind of is in the subconscious mind of the other person receiving that, thinking like, all right, so why are you saying all these big words? Like, what are you actually compensating for? You know, what are you actually missing? So, and then think again, like, just imagine like all powerful people, like listen to Warren Buffett when he talks at his annual meetings. He's not giving you all this stock market jargon and stuff like that. He's like one of the best communicators of all time.
I think even better than him is Charlie Munger. He says even less. You know?
One sentence, he's got the point down.
Yeah, exactly. And then Warren Buffett's like, all right, moving on.
Well, I love the dynamic. Warren Buffett has to spit for a few seconds. He goes, "Got anything else on that, Charlie?" Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect example of being vague and saying less.
Yeah.
He's the perfect example of that.
You don't want to be the person seeking attention for your ego. You don't want to be the center of attention just for the sake of being the center of attention. You know, you want to be the person that when you open your mouth, there's something there that I can have in the form of knowledge or like anything value. And then next time you talk, people will really turn their ears on. They will listen with, you know, a very strong intent.
So that valuable thing comes in the form of like good questions or like or statements that's gonna help the other person. In the
what does it
future.
give them?
Yeah.
Not how good it makes you look. That will just build
Like
resentment.
back to the business ideas thing. Like if someone pitches a business idea to you, and then if we're like, oh yeah, go through with it, man. Like it's just it's ridiculous for us to say that. Especially if it's not a good business idea.
Yeah. We try to find some things, potential roadblocks that can help them to realize.
Like offering proper feedback.
Yeah. Proper feedback.
It's another form of value because you've just potentially saved them a ton of time, ton of money, and then you've, you know, given new knowledge. Yeah.
It also commands more respect from people because you're doing the opposite of what everyone else is doing. So everyone else is always speaking and always saying something, predominantly for no reason. If you're saying less and you're only adding value, people are like, what is this new shit? What is going on here? Like in their brain, they can't forget you. They always remember you. You know, their idea of you, their perspective of you, your reputation is now really, really kind of profound for them.
Like building on that point, Doc, like with Charlie Munger again. Charlie Munger by trade, before he became an investor, he was a lawyer. Think about that. So if you are a lawyer, people are going to be like, oh, this guy's going to talk a lot. But what does Charlie Munger do? He does the opposite. He talks less.
That's really good to be the opposite, man.
So like, it just gives him a different reputation now. You know?
I like the last sentence as well where it says, the more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. And this has happened to me a lot in the past where like you've been getting a lot of good value and all of that saying, and then you start talking too fast and then something just slips out of your mouth. You're like, oh shit, how did that even come out? You know that feeling? You're like, what just slipped out of my mouth?
I know. We get it.
Bring it back in, boys.
We get it all the time when we're building on each other. We're building jokes, get made. And then someone says something like, where it's just that next level because we're always just saying shit. You're like, wow, really? It's like, oh shit. I got caught up, boys. My bad. There's more often not than me. Shit.
All right. We'll go to the next one.
Just to let the audience know as well, you know, we really have changes around. Like this Law 6 has a lot more to it, but the rest of it is fluff and not important.
Yeah.
You're not trying to take over a kingdom here, so.
Yeah. Some of them are cut down to just what's necessary. To the original law. Court attention. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. That is Law 6.
That's a good one. Especially now, like, sorry to cut you off, but like, especially now we live in, you know, social media world. If you have like all this knowledge and you claim to be the person you are, it's pointless if you don't communicate it.
You have to show it.
Yeah.
I think like this is what I like is this was really nuanced in terms of like saying with us, we have our way and it revolves around a lot about donating. So it's like really hard to tell people to donate. Like you can't just come out and imagine you made an Instagram post, hey, everybody should donate. Everybody's going to ridicule you. So how do you just slip it in there, right? So then people start to see it and slowly absorb it. You know, you can't just come out like, you know, and then if we're just, then like a lot of people say like, you know, because it's like a dilemma in the world where people like, you don't want to talk about your donations because that's just ego. You're just showing off.
Virtue signaling.
Yeah, you're just virtue signaling. But if you think about the next level, is like, but you need to tell people because you need to spread the message.
Yep.
That's the third step, to spread it. And imagine we're just donating our asses off, you know, but if it's unseen, it counts for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to find the right way to spread it, find the right way to court that attention and spread that attention.
It's a lesser thing. It's like if you're just donating, that's good, but then the better part is getting other people to donate with you. And then, you know, the donation has that extra amount of power because it's that kind of thing that allows you to build upon of and say, hey, I'm doing this. If you think I'm a respectable human being and I have a great reputation, you believe in me, then maybe you want to do something like that too.
I like watching those like YouTube videos of people like doing charitable work for people that need it. And then it's like that transfer of emotion that those people have like felt, you know, for example, like getting a new school or something. They're so happy with these kids sitting in class with like a proper nice, you know, board, like nice chairs and all these school supplies. Like that makes you want to do it. It seems meaningful. Like if you just, you know, if you just talk about it or you just, you know, have like in text form, it's not as impactful as, you know, actually seeing it being done.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that transfer of emotion that makes you want to do it. It's like meaningful. You want to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And just breaking down those two sentences, really, like everything is judged by its appearance. You know, that's kind of relating to our materialism thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
Where people have a perspective of you regardless. So when you buy items, when you buy anything, what is the story you're trying to tell about you? Simple. And then I guess the other one, what is unseen counts for nothing. In maybe the example we talked about previously where like I was a person, now I've changed. If I don't communicate the change I've made, how on earth is anyone going to know?
For sure.
So you have to communicate that. That's like a big part of today is about the communication of who you are, who you're becoming, what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. Not in an egotistical way, but in a way to build your reputation so you can do more good. In our case, we want to do more good so that we can donate more eventually.
Yeah. So you have to take the risk by putting yourself out there. Because it can be interpreted the wrong way too. Oh, he's just showing off. But no, you have to say like, I'm comfortable. I know who I am. This is what I've done. I'm proud of it. And this is like the new me that I'm turning into.
And even if it does come off to some people, there's two things happening there. Either those people suck, or B, you just haven't showed enough consistency to prove to them that it's not a one-time thing. Yeah. It's not an ego play. It's who you are, who you're becoming.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be those people.
Facts.
Yeah. So a good way of doing it is like, you really do want to celebrate all of your wins on social media to spread your reputation, but then make it not about you. Make it about like your progression on the journey.
Yeah.
So like if you just start saying like, oh, I'm the best. We all know those people, you know, because I did this. That's not it. It's like, hey, I just want to share with you guys this thing that I've achieved. I'm really proud of it. Here it is. This is what I've learned. Keep it nice like that.
Easy way to separate you from the thing itself.
That's what I really like about Colin and Sameer's podcast. Like the whole podcast is just their journey of like what they've learned.
Yeah, it's a ripper, man.
And it makes them seem so like humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly think they're in like a very special category. They're top creators on YouTube.
Oh yeah, they're good, man.
Their YouTube channel doesn't show it yet, but they are top tier.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Law 9. Win through your actions and never through argument. Any momentary triumph you think you have gained through argument is really a false victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Walk the walk, don't talk the talk.
I love this one because like everybody likes to get in heated debates. And even if you win the debate, she's not worth it. because the person's ego is going to be so charged up they're not going to listen. They might say like, oh yeah, I actually agree. Like deep down, they're like, I actually agree with what you said. You argued that well. But no, I'm just so pissed off now. I'm still going to do the opposite.
Yeah. It's out of spite now.
Yeah.
You. Imagine you came to, in the beginning, Samurai and then G, and was like, hey, there's this investing thing, and we completely disagree with you.
Yeah.
Which in some way, not understanding what you're talking about is a disagreement. But imagine you just threw the book at us and just like attacked us with everything. It's like, this is it, this is it, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, what? There's
Can't
no
absorb it.
way we are going to continue to listen to you. It just doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
why would we want to continue to listen from you? Every time you speak, it's like a Gordon Ramsay barrage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And when it's saying like you want to show by your actual action, not by like whatever you say, you got to be really careful here, because when we're saying like you want to provide helpful feedback, give value to people, if you don't have the reputation already built for them to absorb that, they will fight back straight away and it will lead to this debate. So sometimes if you don't have the reputation, it's better not to talk and not to help. You can suggest it very politely, just briefly, let them absorb it. Don't go into all the details about it because it'll work them up too much. But what you can just do instead is just walk the walk first, let them see it actually works. Then they will come back to you and ask you. Then you can give all the answers. So sometimes it's a bit hard to weigh those two things up.
Yeah, when you don't have the reputation, it's important to be humble.
I think this part here, the resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. Back to like what you were first saying, is even if you can change someone's mind for 30 seconds, they're still going to be pissed off for the next year and a half.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just going to revert their opinion the minute you're not in their face talking to you about it.
Yeah. So that's saying it's a short-term win, but a long-term loss.
Yeah. And what do we always play? We always play long-term games. We don't play short-term games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like recently I've been having a lot of people come up to me and argue with me about crypto, like how crypto is better than stocks. And I try not to argue with them at all because I haven't fully built my reputation as well.
Yeah.
As a proper investor. I'm slowly building it, but I haven't fully built it. And I can tell when I talk to these people. So when I talk to them, like they do make some good points where when they do say that, I agree with them. I let them know. I'm like, dude, that's a good point. And then I just come back to my point of like, there's so much unknowns with crypto.
Yeah.
There's so much unknowns. And
yeah.
they can tell like because I'm being humble about it, they're also coming down and coming to my point of view as well.
Yeah. I like to relate it to when Warren Buffett says he doesn't invest in anything he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
It's actually easier to invest in something going up in price. If you see a random crypto going up, it's really easy to just give your money there and just hope it goes up too, because you see it pumping. But it's actually harder to stay on the sidelines like Warren Buffett, be very strict, because he needs to know when he deploys capital, it's going to work 100%. Because the hard thing about investing is people don't realize it all looks good when it's going up. But when it's going down, you're like, what is actually this thing worth? Like, what is it actually worth? Where's the value coming from? And the great thing about companies, you can see they provide a service which makes dollars. So it's like you can hold it, but a lot of these cryptos, it's greater fool theory. You just want another sucker to buy the bag from you at a higher price. But maybe another thing to help with this type of, when you're talking to that person, say, I'll probably approach in terms of, give them a little bit like what we just said. Like, I don't understand everything. Crypto's pretty nuanced. I don't even understand. I've been in the game for 9 years or whatever. But then at the end, say, what is your best project that you're looking at? And please explain it to me in depth. Give me your best one, because if it is the best, you win. But more often than not, they won't actually be able to explain it to you anyway, which proves the point. They don't know anything.
Yeah,
So you're like, you're proving it to them that they don't know without you saying they don't know.
They won't get it right then on the spot. But when they're sitting in their bed going, I fucked up, son. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
It literally happens to everyone.
All the time. It's a little trick we deploy.
I saw a video of Warren Buffett. He was giving an interview in like the 80s. And Warren Buffett is like notoriously known for not investing in anything he doesn't know, right? And at the time, the biggest company in the 80s was like IBM, and it was pure tech. And the interviewer was like, hey, you're worth like $500 million, right? How come you haven't deployed any capital into IBM? And he's like, without flinching, he says, I don't know about it. Without flinching, he's like, yeah, I may leave money on the table. I just don't know about it. And that was like, wow.
Yeah.
He could have made way more money. He just doesn't know about IBM. He doesn't know about tech, so he like sticks to his thing. And I feel like that's the problem with crypto now. People just don't know, but they just get into it.
But
anyway.
they don't know themselves enough to not get in. They're just chasing that thing all the time. Right?
Yeah, it's like when the market goes down, how much conviction do you have in this thing? You know,
Yeah. When she's going up, it's easy to say she's just a privacy coin. When she's going down, you must know everything about it.
It's just a privacy coin. But that's the thing with crypto. We have seen there's always a new sector in crypto. Privacy coins, DeFi, or whatever it happens to be. They come and they go. Not many
coins.
stay.
When she's going up, all you need to know is she's a privacy coin. That's it, bro. It doesn't matter. I think another thing with arguments is, I think all arguments, more often than not, they're rooted in like some lack of knowledge on one person's behalf. It's like someone doesn't know enough in that area. So then there's a differing in opinion. Yeah. It's not really a difference in opinion because this person doesn't know enough to be able to form their own opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
But the difficult thing is to be able to tell them you're not like what you're saying right now doesn't make sense because you haven't studied enough.
Yeah.
How do you tell them that? You know?
You can't tell them that. So you need to deploy those little tricks for them to realize it, like the one you were just saying. And then once they feel what this actually, I don't know, maybe this is a bit off topic, but this works a lot in relationships as well. I found it's like if you have disagreements about small things, like someone's done a certain amount of work in a certain area to like build themselves up, and then you'll have a disagreement in that area, like, hey, but this doesn't make sense because you don't know anything about it. And because you're close to each other or you're in a relationship, it can be like that open line of communication. It still doesn't make sense. It creates arguments that are not necessary because that person's just better at it.
Yeah.
Dude, I know an Uncle Toby that he got sick recently with he took the vaccine and he got a bit woozy after that. And I was gonna go buy him some vitamin C.
Yeah.
And this Uncle Toby, he argues about everything. So I was worried that if I buy him vitamin C and give it to him, like I know vitamin C is good for you when you're sick.
Yeah.
But if I give it to him, I'm worried that he's going to argue with me about it. He's going to be like, how do you know vitamin C is good? I looked into it. It's not that good.
Wait, so did you...
So I didn't buy it for him.
See, that's reputation.
Yeah, that's his reputation
That's
to
that
me.
guy's reputation. Absolutely.
I was going to buy it to him. Like I was going to do the generous act and buy it for him because I felt bad. But then I just thought, I'm like, dude, if I buy it for him and give it to him, he's going to argue with me about it. So what's the point?
Man. He's just missing out.
Missed out on getting better. He's going to be sick forever now, bastard.
And then they wonder, like, think of law of attraction. They think it doesn't work. Mate, he's literally telling everybody to go away. All the positive people are running.
Should have gotten it delivered it to him. So like,
But then he
You
will
wouldn't
argue
have
with
to
the
be
delivery driver. Why give me vitamin C?
That's not how you
why'd you deliver this?
I deliver a product like this. You don't deliver them like that. Man, I'm a delivery driver, bro.
You should do what me and Doc did with the guy when we broke into his house and built him a bed.
Yeah.
Just drop off an Amazon package. Put it on
Don't
his
put your
kitchen
name on
counter.
Just say this is for you.
Just put
Get
it in.
better.
Put the tablets in a cup of water on his table,
Yeah.
and just write vitamin C on it.
No, just say not vitamin C.
Just water.
Just water, yeah.
Tie him down. Put him on a drip. All right. This is a ripper, this one. Law 16. Use absence to create respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporarily withdraw from it. It will make you more talked about and admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value from scarcity.
This is a good one. I think this may have happened recently with you, Doc. Like, say you had your previous you at school with a lower reputation. You worked on yourself for so long. You build your reputation. You build up first. Your reputation has increased because you haven't communicated it yet. Then you go and communicate it. And then if people don't respect it and you're trying to help, then you withdraw yourself back again for a little bit, allow them to mature, and then you reappear again, and then they finally get it. Because like sometimes people take it for granted, you know.
The exact way you just explained that happened.
Yeah.
The important part I think there is to if you go kind of back into a situation where you think your reputation is better and good, the important part is to be aware if it is or if it isn't, so that you can withdraw yourself maybe again. Because I realized it wasn't where it needed to be to make those changes in that person's life. So withdrawing myself, and now all of those people I was talking to previously, like they're all invested with us and stuff like that now, and they get it. Because I was distant, and when you come back slowly, they see my stuff on social media. They're like, all right, fair enough. He's actually exactly what he says he is.
Fuck, he still exists and he's better now than before.
Yeah. You can see that change, that progression. You're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
I do have a question about this though. So regarding the communication aspect of it, it's obviously better to communicate what you're doing before you go absent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But what if on the case, like, because I was similar to Doc in the sense that I couldn't explain what I was doing to my friends at all.
Yeah.
And then I took the absence, and then now I'm able to explain myself better.
Yeah. But it just puts you on the back foot a little bit. It just makes it slightly harder. But still, these aren't big issues.
I found if average is 50, you separate yourself, you go down like without saying anything, it's like 5 points down. If you separate yourself with saying something, it's like a little bit 5 points up. You just have to make up those points a little bit.
Yeah, so it's always better to just communicate it.
Yeah.
Either way, even if you don't know how to.
Yeah,
but then don't you run the risk of like saying something silly as well?
I think you can frame it in a way. Maybe the best example is the way kind of Dylan framed it, is like he was saying what he was going to do. So then once you go and do that thing, people like, it's instant reputation. Because if you say, hey, I'm going to go disappear, in 3 years I'm going to be back, I'm going to be this type of person, I'm going to be, doing this, and this. You come back in 3 years, you are that type of person, you do these type of things, you have this type of knowledge. People, it's like a quick trick to like immediately get that reputation. It's not quick because it takes some years, but it's that obvious like consistency you've shown that maybe they can't keep up in their own lives, that puts you a level above and makes them respect who you are, respect what you've just been through, and then they, if they're the type of person who wants the help in that specific area, they'll ask for it.
But then the worst thing would be to say, all right, I'm going to do this for 3 years or whatever, I'm going to go absent, and then they call you up, hey, mate, you want to go out tonight? And then you rock up. It's like, mate, they're not going to trust your word because you're not actually doing it.
Absolutely. Or you don't become that type of person within 3 years.
Because then they could be like, hey, you could have still, hung out with us and still been on the same journey.
Sure. Or then you just lose friends.
Yeah.
Because then you just disappeared for no reason.
Then it's just virtue signaling at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the same as your Augustus, who just wants to throw business ideas out. You just want to do something. You just go in to do something. You didn't actually do anything. You just said you're going to do this. You said you're going to do that, etc.
Another thing is like, in terms of being absent, just in general, like with us, if we just like, people always asking us, oh, hey, can we do this? Can we have a catch up for a chat and all of that? And they see our calendars like really booked out, and they realize, oh, like this guy is actually really hard to get a hand of. It's actually hard. Or like you say, oh, I'm busy, sorry, I have to work on this. I'm busy, I'm sorry, I have to work on this. I wish I could, but I'm busy, I have to work on this. Only time I'm free is this day, like it's like 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Then some people get annoyed at it, like, oh, what? How come you can't make time? But if it becomes consistent, it becomes your brand, it becomes your reputation, and you're like, oh, that's the guy that's always busy because they're actually doing shit. But if you say you're doing shit and then on your story as like partying, then you're hurting your reputation.
I literally had this like again happen to me. Whereas this was a guy from a while back I haven't chatted to a very long time, but he just assumed the next day I'd be okay. So he set the time, he said this, he said that, and I was like, son, that's not how this works. Like I am giving you the value, and my time is incredibly important. So the only time I have is in the next 2 weeks, or 2 weeks away. Now, did I have time in between there? Sure, I could have fit something in. But it does more good for me to spread that out, because then it puts not necessarily him on the back foot, but it allows him to realize how important time is and my time is. And then I'm not fighting for his attention, which helps build my reputation in his eyes.
Yeah. And sometimes as well, like the honest truth is maybe you had a few hours in the day to spend time with him, but you wanted that time for yourself. You wanted that time to recover. You didn't want to talk to him. You only want to talk to him when you're fully recovered and you actually rested.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing too much is not good for you.
Dude, I had an Uncle Toby try to set up a meeting at like 8:30 p.m. or like 9 p.m. I'm like, dude, I'm sleeping by then.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I've sent him my calendar and it literally has all the time that I'm free, and he can't choose any of that. It has to be 9 p.m. I'm like, all right, if you don't want me to help you, then just say that.
I think, yeah, the harsh reality is like we put in a certain amount of work to this. It's like when we kind of, our time is incredibly important. Not more important because everyone's time is important, but it's like you're asking for help. You need to make a little bit of your own sacrifice and compromise.
Yeah.
Because, if we were to just give you our time, we're going to give you half the person we are because we either didn't rest well enough, or it's cutting into someone else's time. Or we could have been prepping for someone else at that time. We can't do things last minute because it's just domino effects into the rest of the week. Although it doesn't seem like it, it really does affect the rest of the week.
And talking about time and stuff, I think everybody's time is worth different amounts. So like, you should be selfish and hold your time at a very high value. But say like, for instance, with me, with my grandma, I hold her time more value than me. So I'll make time for her.
Because she has less time.
Because she has less time. Way less time. Because she's 93. So, I'll ruin my day for her. That's fine. But someone else where I'm providing the value, I'm not going to ruin my day for them.
Yeah, I think, and if you're just starting on your journey, let's say our time is worth a certain dollar figure, let's say it's $1,000. When you're the start of your journey, it's only worth whatever you get paid on an hourly wage.
Yeah.
Are you're not adding any value to the person, as in, like, if you're the client, you're not adding any value to us by coming to us. We're adding all the value to you and losing money by spending our time.
Yeah,
that's true.
So it's like, sometimes, I know it seems weird, but you do need to think it from that, because if you can think of it like that, I can guarantee it'll put you in our best kind of spirits, because we will respect the fact that you understand that.
Yeah.
And it will motivate us. It'll incentivize us to give you even more value than most.
Exactly.
It's just
I think that's just anyone in general who has more value to give than you.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's just anyone in general. Like, just make sure that be extremely aware of yourself, like how much value you can provide, how much time is, you're taking up of the person that has more value to give than you do. And just be aware of that. Guarantee you, if you know that the person who you're trying to learn from or trying to get something out of, they will actually appreciate that and try to give you more.
That'll work in your work life as well.
Yeah.
It's like your manager or stuff like that. Respect his time, save his time in ways that you can. If you need to book a meeting with him or something like that, make sure it works best for him, not you. Sacrifice your own time, because that will put you in his favor.
Yeah,
his or her favor.
That's a really good point.
All right. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Everyone understands the need for change in the abstract, but on the day-to-day level, people are creatures of habit. Too much information is traumatic and will lead to revolt. If you are new to a position of power or an outsider trying to build a power base, make a show of respecting the old way of doing things. If change is necessary, make it feel like a gentle improvement on the past.
This one happened to me like by experience. So what happened was, when I became the store manager at Nando's, in my head it was like, hey man, I'm going to improve this store so much, and everybody's going to be so grateful because their jobs are now way easier. But everybody was attached to the previous habit of how we did things. Even though, yes, it was net better for the store, better for them and all of that. But people attach their egos to however they've been doing things previously.
Yeah.
So I changed up everything. Dude, the amount of fucking backlash I got for doing that.
You're murked, son.
Dude, it probably took me a year to gain back reputation from that one move.
People hated you, son.
Yeah, people don't like change. They hate change because it makes them really uncomfortable. And also, I think in a way, because they have so much ego, it makes it feel like you're attacking them because their way of doing it was wrong. Yeah. Here's my way of doing it, and it's right.
Yeah. And on a business level, if you know, net to net, it may seem like it makes more sense, and it maybe even make more sense. But if you have workers who are less motivated to work, does it really make sense? This is probably not. You know, or if it just balances out, what's the point of making the change? You've lost reputation, lost respect. You know, but if you can slowly make those changes, that was one of the best pieces of advice Dylan gave me when I started managing, although I was a pathetic manager. The advice I got was that don't change too much in the beginning. You know, build a reputation, work to change things. And like I said, can't say if it worked or not because I sucked, but time would have told. And
so
would be young then.
Would that?
I think we should go. Sometimes when we're doing the podcast, we forget to, like, some people might have missed, like, because we've said this story already a few times. But I think some people may have like missed like the details of it. So you should say, like, you know, how old were you when you became the manager?
I think I was 18 maybe. I was 18 when I started. 18 or 19, I can't remember when I started managing. But
very hard.
She was extremely young to be a manager.
Yeah, and I grew. The hardest part actually faced with was I grew up from like a 15-year-old, like 14, 9 months. I was young as hell when I started there, and everyone I was working with knew me at that age, knew me as a walnut, and I hadn't really like showed the change in me yet. So although I was changing, it was visible to say Dylan. It was visible to say, you know, the owners of the store and stuff like that. They could see me changing, and I appreciate, you know, the opportunity I got more than anything. It's one of the, you know, main things that helped me. But facing the challenge of dealing with, like, say, my peers when they already had no reputation, no respect, because I already knew who I was previously or similar to at that time, I had no authority really. And changing things, I wasn't consistent as either. I was a lot of flaws then, a lot of flaws. And, you know, it is what it is. I also, like, maybe one thing as well was, like, I was only in there for like a year, and then the store, because I was privy to the information the stores were actually being sold at the time. So the motivation to change things doesn't really make sense. It wasn't really the priority for the time. The priority was to just keep things ticking over and making it make sense. You know, keep people happy. It wasn't really you know, change things all up. It was actually the opposite. It was like,
Keep the status quo.
Just keep it as is, and, like, don't give the head office as much as we can. So it was a little bit of a difficult time, but I've learned so much now from it. Not immediately, because I thought, like, the year after, I thought, man, I was a manager. I'm a gun. I was a walnut, bro. Now I can look back on that and be like, all right, there were the problems. If I could do that again, it would be, which I think hopefully we will do some form of restaurant hospitality in the future. It'll be fun.
So would something with your example, you would have started implementing, like, the changes slower, right?
Yeah.
And you would have probably communicated it more.
Yeah. Communicated it more, go slower. But also, I didn't understand the concept of power. I didn't know how much power I had. You know, I didn't. So, like, you got to look at someone, like, how much power do you have over that person? How much reputation do you have with that person? You got to build it up. Once you're like the highest out of all the managers, with every single person, or at least get like 75%. It's not a democracy where you need 51%. You need 75, because if you still got, you know, 25 people angry, that's still not a nice place to work at. So, like, you better look at people and know where do you stand, you know, with that person, build up that power, build up that reputation. But, like, when I left that store and I moved to Nando's Chadstone, which, you know, Chadstone's biggest shopping center in Southern Hemisphere, is really busy there, and the sales is like over $100,000 a week.
A week was? I couldn't remember. Someone asked me this question the other day. I thought it was a month for some reason in my head.
Yeah, a week.
100,000 a week sounds crazy.
So it was like 3 times. Like, we thought, wow, Heatherton store was busy.
Yeah,
we also Heatherton, like, how hard it was.
Heatherton was like 30,000 a week, right?
Yeah.
It was just the square bloody footage of the place was huge.
Yeah. Like, remember the Friday sales? Like, we used to think the Friday rushes were busy. Dude, we used to make your whole day sale in an hour.
Yeah,
in 1 hour.
You told me that was crazy.
That's insane.
So it's like, there's so many levels, but, like, what I requested was, hey, I want to take 2 weeks off. And what I did in those 2 weeks off while moving to that new store was I read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I reread 48 Laws of Power. And by implementing those two, refreshing my mind, boom, within a week, I had complete control.
Wow.
And I didn't make any mistakes this time compared to last time. It screwed me up for a year, man.
There was a lot of angst in that year. I can even just remember it. Not like, as in like Dylan, you weren't mentoring me at that stage, were you?
Maybe
slightly.
Yeah.
Because I remember,
Yeah.
I remember not having that angst against you, but it was like,
Or maybe not at the very beginning.
yeah,
Not at the
everyone
beginning.
else was like pissed. Like, this is not the way we do things. Especially the older people there were like really upset.
And it was very straightforward stuff because the dynamic was people were like 40 and stuff. They thought they deserved to be the store manager. But like the things that I was changing was so easy. Like one of them was, all right, buns are first, mayonnaise comes second, and it's just I place the things in order which you literally put them on, so you don't go back and forth. Sounds like so simple
When you say it like that, but so for people when you're working in hospitality, a lot of it's muscle memory. So the hands would go here, and then shit, that's not where it is. I have to change it, and people would lose their minds over that.
Yeah.
They just have to retrain that. It takes maybe a few sessions, a few shifts, I should say.
So people get angry about it, man. People get angry.
If you think about that, it just sounds ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But if you do a lot of them at once,
Yeah.
like what I've learned is you only do one thing like that a week max.
You don't change too much. People hate change.
You need to like get them a little bit upset with the change, and then they're okay for like half the week, and then you make a little change, they're upset for half the week, and then
Yeah, you gotta do it like that.
and then they always get the time to recover.
Experience I had with change when I was working in corporate was I would always I know what needs to be done, but then I would make it seem like it's their idea, so that like whenever that change happens, it's like you came up with the idea, you know.
Yeah.
And then they can't really fight against it.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, boys.
Should we go on the next one?
Last one, boys.
Law 46. Never appear too perfect. Appearing better than others is always dangerous, but most dangerous of all is to appear to have no faults or weaknesses. Envy creates silent enemies. It is smart to casually display defects and admit to harmless vices in order to deflect envy, in order to appear more human, more approachable.
This is a struggle for me, boys. Too perfect.
That's jokes.
Can't do anything about it.
I think this is a good one for most people that are coming on a similar journey of us of constantly progressing, becoming the most optimal version of themselves. Because you do want to show like how you've improved. You do want to show like how much better you are and all of this stuff. This is what I've learned and all of that. But then you got to sprinkle in a little bit of like what you're working on, because everybody hates the perfectionist.
Yeah.
No one likes it. You know, so you gotta chuck in a little bit of that stuff.
You can't act like your shit don't stink.
Yeah,
Everyone's shit stinks.
It just makes you seem like a prick.
Yeah.
You know, no one likes a prick.
Asking for a right hook.
Yeah.
Vulnerability.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, a bit of self-deprecating jokes sometimes. You know, it's a little bit in there.
Don't be an Olivia that knows everything, because you're about to get right hooked.
You know, I can't relate, boys. I'm just made so perfectly. I just can't relate.
Got a perfect specimen sitting there.
Like, can you bounce your pecs for us?
Oi, last night, right? We were sitting where we went having dinner.
Yeah.
We're like, I really like that top. Obviously, it's a hardcore top. We're like, I really like the look of it. And this dude starts like Terry Crews in his pecs. Like, bro, the top, not your titties, bro. What the hell?
Dude, what can I say? I'm just made so perfectly.
I love your confidence. G's confidence is like next level.
Dude, he didn't speak 3 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He's bouncing his pecs.
Now he's on
What have
potty.
we done, boys?
What have we created?
I think that's pretty straightforward, right? Never appear too perfect.
Yeah.
What's a way that we show this? I think we do this on the podcast by like kind of highlighting our mistakes, using our personal mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Saying, so for example, we have a way of life, the hardcore way of life. It's not perfect, and it's maybe not the best, but it's our way at the moment, and it's always going to change, which is literally that point.
Yeah.
It's like at the moment it is what it is. We think it's the best, and we're going to continue to build it because it can always be improved. Like
I think that's the mistake we were making initially in the podcast, right? Like we weren't speaking about our vulnerabilities. Instead, we're kind of just like going on tangents and saying,
just like
do this, do that.
teaching, preaching kind of thing.
Yeah. Personal ones, like I always like to talk about. I'm a chubby checker. Struggle a lot with food. Love it. Like we'll talk about the podcast, like how we were in the beginning. I had my gut out for about 30 minutes, and it was a big gut then because I was about 10 kilos heavier than I am now. And the boys wouldn't even tell me.
No, we didn't know until like we noticed it. Don't be
She
like,
was hanging out, son.
mate.
She was obvious,
No, but
mate.
the thing is,
She
how
was
do you
obvious
not
to
know?
us. You had your shirt up and you didn't even
How do you
realize.
know
What are
your
you
shirt's
talking
hanging
about?
up? You're not aware of that shit.
Well, you didn't
son.
feel the goddamn breeze, son. You had your
shirt
left
was
nipple
literally-
out.
Your shirt was literally crop top.
Yeah.
You had that Ronaldo body from today's TikTok.
That's the funny shit.
Chubby check.
Dude, that's the best.
Anyway, I think this has been a good podcast. I think it's been one of our best ones, and just very valuable because this stuff you can't find on the internet, you know, and really understand the value of reputation, how important it is.
Yeah.
It's not about social status and just looking good and all of that and showing off. It's completely different. This is an asset. This is power that you can gain, and it's very beneficial.
Absolutely.
And remember again, never ever trade your reputation for money, for short-term money.
Absolutely.
Remember the Warren Buffett quote.
Absolutely. I think we'll wrap it up there, eh, boys?
Yeah.
So please, everyone, remember to like, comment, share this with your friends, subscribe, click that notification bell to know that when we post. We upload every Friday mid-morning. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one. Pack her up.
Pack her up.
Back her up.
Pack her up. Thank you for listening.